Tonight on World News from Washington, an ABC News exclusive. My interview with President Obama. In a feisty exchange, the president takes on his Republican opponents, his own mistakes, Donald Trump's challenge, and what he guessed is your top concern.
Gas prices.
You got it. Airbag alert. One of the nation's most popular vehicles recalled for something that can happen while you're sitting in your driveway. Diet drug. A popular pill that promises to help you shed pounds, raising serious health concerns. Should it be banned? And life lessons. From the nation's oldest teacher on the job, 97 years old, and no signs of slowing down. What's her secret?
From ABC News, this is ABC World News with Diane Sawyer. Reporting tonight from Washington, George Stephanopoulos.
Good evening. At the White House today, it was President Obama's first major interview since announcing his re-election run, and no topic was off limits. From budgets to birthers, the president pulled no punches, talking candidly about why he believes questions about his birth certificate could backfire, and why he now thinks that his Senate vote against raising the debt ceiling, such an important issue now, was bad for the country then. I asked him why Americans should give him another term, and about his potential Republican opponents, including the most headline-grabbing of all, Donald Trump. But we began with a top question on your minds. I asked our viewers for questions for you. Thousands came in.
Gas prices.
You got it. You guessed it. And Louise Ross, Chester, New Hampshire. Why not release at least some of the oil in our reserves before gas reaches $5 a gallon? If that's a rainy day fund, it's pouring out. Give us a break. That's what it's there for.
I understand how big of a strain this is on family budgets. And, you know, already we've got about $3.85, is close to $4. That's tough. You know, if you've got to drive to work every day and you don't have an option in terms of the car that you're driving, and it's taken more and more out of your budget, that's a problem.
But you're not ready to release the reserves yet?
The reserves, I think, are something that we've got to be very careful about. Typically, we're used during disruptions, for example, during Hurricane Katrina when refineries just shut down. And what we don't want to do is catch ourselves in a situation, particularly when things are uncertain in the Middle East, where we're using it now and it turns out we need more later. There aren't going to be a lot of great short-term solutions to this problem. And what happens every time gas prices spike like this, and the last time it happened was when I was running for president, is politicians get up and we've got to do something about gas prices, and then when they go back down, we do nothing. And this time has to be different. We have to make sure that we are improving fuel efficiency standards on cars. We've got to make sure that we're developing alternative fuels like electric cars and biofuels, and we have to increase oil production here, but we've got to do it carefully. So we're going to have a comprehensive package. We've got to keep on pushing on that.
The president also pushed back at the response of top Republicans to yesterday's blistering speech on the budget deficit.
They want to give people like me a $200,000 tax cut.
Paul Ryan has really come out with a tough response to your speech. He said the president was excessively partisan, dramatically inaccurate, and hopelessly inadequate.
Rather than building bridges, he's poisoning wells.
Are you poisoning wells?
Oh, absolutely not. Look, if you look at my speech yesterday, it was not so much a critique of what the House Republicans have proposed as it was a description of what they proposed. And, you know, I think...
You said it would lead to a fundamentally different America.
Well, and I think that's absolutely true.
How can you compromise with a vision that fundamentally changes America? It seems like there's no common ground there.
Here's the thing that I think is good. Everybody now agrees that the deficit has to be cut. The key from my perspective is making sure that it's balanced.
And you were so forceful on that, and you said as long as you're president, you're not going to sign any deal where the taxes don't go up on the wealthy. The Republicans have been just as hard line on the other side. How do you reconcile those two visions?
Well, here's what we should do, is to focus on those areas that we do agree on, to make sure that we identify the spending cuts that are important. What I wanted to do yesterday, and I think I did successfully, is to make very clear to the American people that we have a choice. We can't get everything the government offers and not pay for it. And I think everybody agrees on that.
At some level, you made a calculation. Listen, the House Republicans aren't going to vote for any tax increases. So we have to put the choice to the American people and fight it out in 2012.
I think there are areas of overlap and agreement. Everybody agrees that the United States has to pay its debts. Everybody agrees that we're going to have to hit a real, meaningful target when it comes to deficit reduction, and that there are going to be some areas where we can agree now, and there are going to be some areas where we don't agree, but we can get a process going, and some of it will be settled by the American people in the election.
What can't wait is the debt limit.
Yeah.
You've got to extend the debt limit by May, and it seems like you made it your job is a lot tougher because of your vote in the Senate against extending the debt limit. Up until January, you were defending it, but this week, your staff said it was a mistake. When did you realize that vote was a mistake?
You know, I think that it's important to understand the vantage point of a senator versus the vantage point of a president. When you're a senator, traditionally what's happened is this is always a lousy vote. Nobody likes to be tagged as having increased the debt limit for the United States by $1 trillion. As president, you start realizing, you know what, we can't play around with this stuff. This is the full faith and credit of the United States. And so that was just a example of a new senator making what is a political vote as opposed to doing what was important for the country. And I'm the first one to acknowledge it.
I thought the president would take a pass when I brought up Donald Trump, but I was wrong. He actually appeared to enjoy it. I mean, all of us have been struck by Donald Trump rising to the top of the Republican field by feeding fantasies about your background. What do you make of that?
I think that over the last 2.5 years, there's been an effort to go at me in a way that is politically expedient in the short term for Republicans, but creates, I think, a problem for them when they want to actually run in a general election where most people feel pretty confident. The president was born where he says he was, in Hawaii. He doesn't have horns. We may disagree with him on some issues, and we may wish that the unemployment rate was coming down faster, and we want to know his plan on gas prices, but we're not really worrying about conspiracy theories or birth certificates. And so I think it presents a problem for them.
And as the president headed to his hometown this afternoon for the first fundraising rallies of his last campaign, he sure seemed to be warming up for the fight ahead.
It's not enough just to say, I'm going to keep your taxes low and make government small. We've got to make real choices. Do we want to maintain Medicare? If we do, we've got to pay for it. Do we believe that we should have the best roads and the best airports and the best ports and the best railways in the world? Because we're the greatest country on earth. If we do, we've got to have a way of paying for it. If we believe that it's unacceptable for our seniors not to be able to go into a nursing home when they need care, or children who are poor not to be able to get a good education, then we've got to make sure that we're paying for it. But ultimately, the vision of society that I have is one in which we are rising together. And we are competing with other countries around the world. And in order to do that, we can't just be thinking about ourselves. And that's particularly true for folks like you and me, George, who have been unbelievably blessed. Neither of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouths. But we were in a society where if you work hard and you're responsible, and sometimes you're a little bit lucky, you can achieve that American dream. And I want to make sure that that's true for everyone. It does mean that we've got to make some fundamental choices, and that's what this election is going to be about.
Just before I sat down with the president there in the diplomatic room, the head of air traffic control resigned, taking the hit for 5 of his men falling asleep on the job. So I asked President Obama if he was confident our skies are safe.
We've got it under control, but what we also have to look at is air traffic control systems. Do we have enough backup? Do we have enough people? Are they getting enough rest time? It starts with individual responsibility, and those individuals, they let a lot of people down when they fell asleep on the job.
And you can see more of my interview with the president tonight on Nightline and tomorrow morning on GMA. The entire interview is also online at abcnews.com. There you can learn which issue the president and top Republican strategist Karl Rove agree on. And we're going to turn now to medical news and word tonight of a critical drug shortage. It's a medicine some cancer patients rely on to stay alive, but the drug is now in such short supply, patients are actually being turned away. Richard Besser reports tonight from Boston.
Imagine you have cancer and a powerful drug. The one you need to stay alive is not available. That is the horror Allison Kern is facing today, battling leukemia. Her doctors here at Mass General said supplies of what they need to conquer her cancer had to be rationed.
I want to live, and I want these people with leukemia not to go through the pain and the suffering that I've been going through, and now the medicine is at arm's length, and I can't grab it.
This drug, Ara-C or cytarabine, is the difference between life and death for patients with certain types of leukemia. But Allison's doctor could only give her 1.5 grams of the drug, instead of the 34 grams he wanted to use.
And I found it incredibly frustrating.
Does that make you angry?
Yes.
Today we heard from cancer centers across the country. Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. We are really worried. Tufts Medical Center in Boston. There is no new stock in sight. Nebraska Medical Center in Omaha. At one point last week, we were completely out. And oncologist Dr. Hagop Kantarjian at MD Anderson Cancer Center in Texas has been told by colleagues in 20 states that they are experiencing the shortage.
I'm very concerned that as a leukemia doctor, I'm not fulfilling my moral obligation towards my patients with leukemia.
Of the 3 makers of this drug, 2 had manufacturing issues, and 1 could not meet the increased demand. A similar situation this past December, when we reported on shortages of drugs used for cancer treatment and emergency care. So for now, patients like Allison fight to be heard.
I just lost my husband of a brain tumor, and I promised my kids after I was diagnosed with leukemia that the same ending wasn't going to happen to me.
Do you worry now that you're not going to be able to keep that promise?
I do worry because this drug is important to me.
Dr. Richard Besser, ABC News, Boston.
Is important to me.
And there's a recall tonight involving the best-selling vehicle in America, Ford's F-Series pickup trucks. Under pressure from the government, Ford is recalling nearly 1.2 million of its F-150 models because of a dangerous defect. Hundreds of airbags have deployed without warning. Lisa Stark joins us now with more on this. Hey, Lisa.
Hey, good evening, George. Well, the recall involves the model years 2004 through 2006, and the problem is the driver's side airbag. Now, here's what's happening in some cases. The drivers are getting into the vehicle, they're simply turning on the car, and then the airbag is suddenly popping out unexpectedly. Ford says the issue is a wire right inside the steering column that can chafe and cause that airbag to deploy. There have been more than 300 complaints, 122 injuries, everything from burns to sprains, eye injuries, and loss of consciousness. Now, Ford has been resisting this massive recall. It has argued that the airbag warning light, you can see it when the car comes on, that the airbag warning light comes on very, very early, weeks before the airbag would actually deploy, giving consumers plenty of notice. But the government has insisted on this recall. Ford has now finally agreed, and next month, more than 1 million truck owners will be getting those recall notices. George?
Boy, this is a huge recall. Okay, Lisa, thanks very much. And still ahead on World News, new questions today about a popular weight loss pill. The government is asked to ban all sales. And the secret of a long life from America's oldest teacher. 97 years old and still on the job.
This is ABC World News with Diane Sawyer. Brought to you by True Green.
You've probably seen the ads for that diet pill Ally that promises safe weight loss without starving yourself. 40 million people have tried it or its prescription alternative, Xenical. But complaints of nasty and dangerous side effects are increasing, and for the second time in 5 years, health advocates urge the government to ban it. Here's Jim Avila.
Ally is the only over-the-counter diet drug in the pharmacy adorned with the FDA seal of approval, a huge marketing tool.
For every 2 pounds you work to lose, Ally can help you lose 1 more.
Debuted with great fanfare in 2007 as a breakthrough in dieting, the pill that let you eat fatty foods and made them slide right through your system with minimal effect, sold to more than 10 million dieters, convinced that this is the real thing.
You feel like if it has a stamp of approval from the FDA, it's probably pretty a safe bet, you know?
Monique Paulwell thought it would help her lose a few extra pounds and further her acting ambitions. But from the time it was first marketed, there were unpleasant digestive side effects. Then last year, the FDA warned users of both Ally and its stronger prescription partner, Xenocol, of rare cases of liver disease. Monique says she was forced to get a new one.
They discovered that it was not repairing itself and that I would most likely need a transplant.
When?
ASAP. By the time I was admitted into the hospital, I had 48 hours to live.
Along with all the health problems came a sales tailspin. Today, perhaps the death knell for the once most popular diet drug on the market. Public Citizen, the consumer advocacy group, petitions the FDA to ban it from the pharmacy, saying it identified rare cases of hepatitis, 47 patients with acute pancreatitis, and 73 cases of kidney stones.
It is pretty clear that this drug causes these diseases, and it notches it up enormously in terms of how risky it is.
GlaxoSmithKline, which makes Ally, told ABC News Today there is no proof of a direct link and insists its safety has been established through 100 clinical studies involving more than 30,000 patients. Even so, in what may be the final straw, just hours after the call to ban the drug, GlaxoSmithKline decided to sell the brand that once had so much promise and now may join the long list of disappointing and now off the market magic diet pills. George?
Boy, that's telling. Okay, Jim, thanks very much. And coming up, the TV move today that had thousands of women posting memories online. Who'd have thought that the Czech president could become an internet sensation? This is what did it during a state visit to Chile. Look at that lovely pen. I think I will take it. But Czech TV had some fun when they saw the tape, and now thousands have joined a Facebook campaign to send him a whole passel of pens. The president said later that world leaders keep those pens all the time. And a story about another leader, former Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak, caught our eye today. Literally, take a look at this. His pinstripe suit, it turns out those aren't just any pinstripes. Mubarak had his name embroidered into them in tiny script. The cost more than $10,000. And a sad day for fans of two legendary soap operas. ABC announced that it is canceling All My Children and One Life to Live, both on the air for more than 40 years. But viewership of all the soaps has been falling. CBS acts As the World Turns last year. Fans of the two ABC soaps have been commiserating online. One said, "The show is like a friend that comes into my living room after a rough day at work, and it will be sorely missed." And still ahead, the 97-year-old teacher going strong and teaching us all a lesson about life. Finally tonight, they just keep at it. Betty White still getting laughs at 89. Warren Buffett running one of the world's biggest businesses at 80. And New Jersey Senator Frank Lautenberg still going strong at 87. But Lindsay Davis found a school teacher from Senator Lautenberg's state who's got them all beat.
Growing old gracefully is nothing new to Agnes Zalesnik. She's had 97 years to learn.
Today we are making banana bread.
Granny is what everyone calls her. And this is how she spends most of her time.
Put in a teaspoon of vanilla in here.
A dash of energy, a pinch of persistence, and an extra dollop of work ethic.
Whenever she makes a recipe, she adds one little touch, which is love to it.
Mix it all together, and you have the woman who's believed to be the nation's oldest full-time teacher.
You ready to work today, Gran? I sure am.
A discovery her daughter made when she recently filed her mother's taxes.
They said, she still has a W-2 form? I said, yes. She said, well, when was she born? I said, 1914.
She was a teenager during the Great Depression, and when her husband went off to World War II, she took care of the kids, something she's become very good at.
What's your secret ingredient? At 97 years old, that you're still working full-time?
I haven't. It's just me, I guess, and I just look forward to cooking with the children.
She's traded in a rocking chair for a pair of New Balance.
Sneakers are wonderful.
Mush, smush.
The kids' aprons, she makes them. The recipes, she bakes them. The school costumes, she creates them. Perhaps the secret, keeping busy, a sense of purpose.
Y'all say we want to grow up to be like Granny.
She's worked here at the Sundance School in New Jersey for 15 years.
It's the energy that you have. Taking care of children is worth it.
Life studies from an old master.
That's it.
Certainly in a class by herself. Lindsay Davis, ABC News, North Plainfield, New
That
Jersey.
looks beautiful.
Keeping busy in New Balance shoes. That is all for us from Washington tonight. Thanks for watching. We're always on at abcnews.com. And don't forget to watch Nightline later. For Diane Sawyer and all of us at ABC News, have a good night.